right now in the middle of a concert tour.
Yes.
Colleges.
Yes.
That's got to be kind of a...
It's great. It's the most wonderful audience in the world, college people.
There's also, I guess, a renewed appreciation for a lot of the things that you're saying in so much of your material. I mean, you remember we used to sing in the 50s, "A penny a kiss, a penny a hug, I'm going to save my pennies in a big brown jug." That was a Pulitzer Prize-winning lyric.
Right.
Now, you really make some statements.
Well, I've been very interested to see what kind of reaction we would receive at colleges. You know, it's like Annie has a sister now who's just starting college, and when my first record came out, she was 6 years old. And so it was interesting to go back to this audience and find how interested they are in my music, how familiar they are with it. God, they sing every song word for word, you know. And they're very interested in the things that I speak about or address myself to in some of the music, the things that I'm concerned about. Kids are really into the Calypso Society. They're interested in the wilderness and the outdoors. And it's really wonderful to me to find that interest there and to find that we have something in common.
John, were you an Air Force brat?
Yes, sir.
So you lived a lot of places, huh?
Yes.
You went to high school in Texas.
Went to high school in Fort Worth, Texas. I was born in Roswell, New Mexico. Then we lived in Japan, and then Tucson, Arizona, Montgomery, Alabama, and then Texas. And my family moved to Florida when I stayed in college in Texas.
When did you realize you might have some lightning in a bottle here? Was it in high school?
Well, you know, ever since I can remember, I've enjoyed singing, and I wanted to sing for people. And what happened for me is in the context of moving around like that, being an Air Force brat, the way that I made friends, the things that allowed me acceptance. When I came into junior high school, I graduated from junior high school in the 8th grade in Tucson, Arizona, and then stayed in junior high school for the 9th grade in Montgomery, Alabama. And I was only there for 1 year, and it was a whole different world for me. And the thing that allowed me to make friends, that opened up that space where I really had an enjoyable year of junior high school and what could have been a very difficult time in my life, was my guitar and singing. It made friends for me, and that has been the case ever since then.
And your first public notice was at that age?
Well, I think to a certain degree, yes. I was involved with a rock and roll band. We did a Saturday morning radio show before they had the movie, if you remember those kind of things.
Yeah.
And so there was some degree of that going on then, but the first real stuff was when I left college and went out and started working in Los Angeles and got to be part of the Mitchell Trio, and then later on started recording on my own.
I'll just find out where you are here now. We've got, yes, you want to help me out here?
Okay. I'm a total John Denver freak.
I know. There are millions of folks.
What is the biggest problem you think our environment faces right now?
Nuclear power. I think, you know, without a doubt in my mind, it's the most fearsome thing that's going on in the world today, and it really is the one thing that has the potential of removing the potential for life itself on this planet. I think it's something that needs to be handled and that we're playing around with it.
Mm.
Thank you.
John, how would you respond to those nuclear proponents who say we've got a lot of, I'll bear up, you know this.
Yes, that's great.
All right, we've got a lot of entertainers running around. I mean, you join a growing number of people who have expressed concern. But you don't really understand it. You're shooting from the hip. It's a popular cause, and you don't understand that we've got to do something about our petroleum technology, and 12% of our energy is now being developed by nuclear energy. And they were against the airplane, too, and they were against the Ford, and it's always naysayers who say the sky is falling, and it's really not as bad as you make out.
Okay, well, the way that I try to handle that and all the issues that I address myself to is that I'm very frank with people about what I feel. But more importantly than that, what I want to do is to be a catalyst to whatever degree I can so that people will get interested enough to take a look at it themselves. I don't want you to vote for nuclear safeguards because that's what I'm voting for. But what I really want you to do is take advantage of the opportunity that you have in this democratic society of ours and be involved enough, be interested enough so that you can look at it yourself and make an intelligent choice in the matter. And then go out and take advantage of the opportunity we have, the responsibility really, and vote. And if you look at it, I have no doubt in my mind, you know, it's like I was talking on the radio show earlier this morning, people relate to my music. I think those of you who are here are fans of mine would say kind of the same thing. There's something that goes on in my music that gets you down where you are. It says what you say. So if you have that feelings about my music, I propose that you might have the same kinds of feelings about the things that I feel as a human being. Not as a star, not as a celebrity, but as a human being. And I really want people to take a look at this thing. It's incredibly critical, folks. I mean, this has to do with the future of life on this planet. And I really urge you to look at the matter, to see how you feel, and when you know how you feel about it, and you can make an intelligent choice, then let those people who represent you know about that.
John,
and we will solve this thing responsibly.
On the issue of your show on Alaska, you must feel very proud of that.
Oh, yes.
You know what troubles me a little bit, I guess, you know, it's almost, you got to be wealthy to enjoy the wilderness. Have you thought about that? You ever...
No, I've noticed that over the last few years, and actually, to be very honest with you, I feel kind of partly responsible, at least, that outdoor activities, people's health consciousness has grown incredibly. I know that more and more people, you know, the camping business, buying backpacks and things like that, the things that you use to go out into the wilderness, even if you're going, you know, car camping or however you say that. More and more people are doing that than ever before. Now, the thing you have to recognize about that is if you have the proper equipment and stuff, and of course it gets expensive. You're a skier, Steve. Phil, you know how hard it is to get, how expensive it is to get good skiing equipment, to go out to be comfortable on the mountain.
Right.
You know? But there's something out there for people that makes it worth it. You know that people spend a whole year planning that week to be in Aspen, Colorado, you know, because it's that meaningful to them and their family. It's a time away from all of this, to get out and enjoy each other, be on the side of a mountain in an incredible environment. There's something of value there, you see? And so you have to kind of equate it. But no, I don't think it's overly expensive, and I think that whatever value people get, obviously it balances the expense. I have to do a little...
If we were in New York, why, this would be cut out of the tape.
All right.
Go ahead.
That's all right.
All right, go ahead.
There's a storm across the valley, clouds are rolling in. The afternoon is heavy on your shoulders. There's a truck out on the 4-lane, a mile or more away. The whining of his wheels just makes it colder. He's an hour away from riding all your prayers under the sky. 10 days on the road, barely gone. There's a fire softly burning, supper's on the stove. It's the light in your eyes that makes him warm. Sing again. Hey, it's good to be back home again. Sometimes this old farm feels like a long-lost friend. Yes, and hey, it's good to be back home again. There's all the news tell him, honey, how do you spend your time? Tell me what's the latest thing the neighbors say. And your mother called last Friday, and sunshine made her cry. You felt the baby move just yesterday. Hey, it's good to be back home again. Yes, dear. Sometimes this old farm feels like a long fur on the stove, the light in your eyes keeps me warm. You sing it. Sometimes this old farm feels like a long lost friend. Yes, and hey, it's good to be back home again. I said, hey, it's good to be back home again.
I'd like to know what you think about solar energy as a future energy source for the United States.
I think that solar energy is really there where we can start making use of it on a broad level. You know, so far it's been kind of expensive to get operating and not really efficient, and things are improving rapidly, and I think it's going to be one of the primary sources, if not the primary source, of all of our energy in the near future. Yes, ma'am. I mean, there's no comparison.
I've seen you on Johnny Carson so many times, and you seem like you really enjoy it. Phil, your mic is off.
Oh, excuse me, I'm losing my mic here. All right, let's try it again.
Okay. I've seen
A minute.
1, 2, 3.
How quickly, eh?
I've seen you a number of times on Johnny Carson Tonight Show, and you seem like you enjoy doing that program really well, and you're so at ease at that. I was just wondering how you really do like in doing that.
Well, it is. It's a lot of fun, and I do enjoy doing it. I wouldn't want to do it every night, but on those occasions when I've been on, I've been lucky enough to be able to garner a good group of guests, and it's a very exciting show to do. You know, it's like this. You're doing it live, and it goes so fast, you never have a chance to say, oh, golly, I shouldn't do that, or I've got to think about this up here. You've got to be right here, right now, constantly, and it's very exciting.
So I have two questions, if I may. One, John, when you were in college, were you as committed to the ecology as you are now?
I don't think that I had the commitment because I didn't know that it was going on. You know, if you look back, our whole sense of the environment and ecology is only about 15 years old.
Right.
And it's about that long ago that I was in college. And so, although I was still very much a man of the country and of the mountains, that wasn't so reflected in what I was doing. I didn't know enough.
Right. We weren't as aware, as you said. Also, what situations do you find most conducive to your songwriting? When you're in Colorado or just anywhere?
The thing that happens for me is like, you know, the songs come. I mentioned this story in regard to Calypso. I was on board the Calypso with Captain Cousteau for about 5 days when we did a special together. And I wanted so much to write a song about the Calypso. And the day that I boarded the boat, that afternoon, walking around the deck, I had the chorus to that song in the time that it takes to, Calypso, the places you've been to, the things that you've shown us, the stories you tell. I mean, it came out just like that, and I thought, oh boy. And then I could not write the verses to the song. I could not get it done, and I had about a month before we finished the television show to get it done for the television show. It didn't happen. And then I had about 3 weeks before we were going to go on a concert tour, and I wanted to get it done for the concert tour, and I wanted to have it for an album that we were going to do. And I couldn't get it. I just couldn't get it. And I struggled. There was so much effort involved. It was ridiculous. One day I just threw it all down, said, obviously it's not going to come. I'm not ready. And I went out to go skiing. I made about 2 runs in the mountain, and all of a sudden I had to think, I've got to get home and be with that song again. And I got in my Jeep, and in the time it takes to drive from the mountain to my home, which is less than 20 minutes, I wrote the song. So, See, and I would like to relate this to that thing I said earlier. I want you to know that I really don't own these songs. They're your songs. And my real experience of what happens is that when myself, my ego, when I get out of the way, the songs come. If there's something on my mind that kind of keys it, then the rest of it will come. I just have to get out of the way. And my sense of it is that those songs, it's out there, and it does come from all of you, and I'm blessed in my life to be able to be the one once in a while to write it down or to sing it back for you. That's really how it happens.
Okay.
I certainly hope so. I certainly hope so.
Are you going to be making any more movies is the question.
Yes, and I would like to do that very much.
That was kind of risky, I give you credit for, you didn't have to take that risk with the movie.
Yes. Well, it's like I want to see how far I can go, how much I can do with this talent that I have. And I feel that the talent that I have somehow has to do with that aspect of people being able to relate to me, whether it's through the music or whether it's through films, or now I'm starting to speak a little bit once in a while in regard to certain things. And so whatever it is, you know, I'm going for it. I refuse to accept anything less than all that life has to offer, or to give anything less than all that I can give to life. And
yeah, John, I was wondering if you did any type of experience with psychic experiences when you work with your music, or Eastern philosophies on that.
well, I was about to say well-versed, and that would be inaccurate. I'm very interested in Eastern philosophies, and a lot of that is in my life without my being able really to articulate some of the specifics. And I do feel psychic, and I have no specific experience to base that on beyond my own life and things that are going on. You know, it's like doing this now, being in the situation, the space that I'm in right now, and some of the things that are going on right now in my life is stuff that I first saw in my life when I was 12 years old. And I remember that. And that's kind of interesting to me. And there have been a lot of things like that, and I'm very anxious to see where it goes.
You mean like a deja vu? You've been here before?
Well, no, not so much that, Phil. It's like one of the things that I'm involved in right now is in fact, something I'm missing today in doing the show, I've been appointed to a presidential commission on hunger. And our second meeting is going on today in Washington, D.C. And that kind of comes out a whole lot of feelings that I have in regard to making some contribution to the quality of life on this planet. There's a foundation that I have, which is called the Windstar Foundation. And we're involved in putting together an experimental community to develop alternative sources of energy, to develop new ways of growing foods in an area where you really aren't supposed to be able to grow some of the things that we're starting to grow. And this is stuff that I started, you know, that I had in my mind really clearly as far back as I can take it is when I was 12 years old. But, you know, to think of something like that when you're 12 years old and to have it stay with you and then all of a sudden have it becoming a real thing in the universe, that's very interesting to me.
With your view of the mountains, I mean, I assume, I shouldn't assume, I assume that you believe in a prime force or in you have some transcendent energy concept. You believe in God or whatever. Maybe you don't call him God or her or... I guess I want to know how, I assume you were raised traditionally in the traditional...
Yes, I was raised as a Presbyterian, and you know, people quite often now ask you, you know, are you a Christian and now in the world people might come up and say, are you a Zen Buddhist or something like that. And the way I handle that is I answer yes to all of those questions, regardless of what specific discipline they're talking about. In regard to religion, I'm very much a spiritual man. I do believe in God. I do believe that each of us is a child of God, and that God lives within us. And I do really experience oneness with people in that context, if you will. And I have no need of tying it to a specific discipline. You know, in fact, one of the things that I get in discussions with people quite a lot is that there's so much in religion today that has us separating ourselves one from the other. But if you look at it, what happens is that this group of people over here, they have you know, these feelings that we have in us about things that we can't explain, some of the things that are almost impossible to understand. We've given articulation and definition to those out of certain words and certain aspects of the environment in which we are raised, in which we grow. And over here, these people who live here have this form and these words that they use to describe it. And over here, these people have this form and these words and this way that they practice it. And over here, there's another form. But don't you see, we're all talking about the same thing.
So a little time for John. You had
I just wanted to know, when you wrote your first song, how old you are, and what was the name of it?
Well, I was 13 years old. It was called Sitting on the Banks of a Lazy Little Stream, and I had been at a Presbyterian church camp in Arizona.
And it sold 1 million.
No.
Yes.
5 people have ever heard that song.
Yes.
Well, you know, it's like I want to see how far I can go, how much I can do with this talent that I have. And I feel that the talent that I have somehow has to do with that aspect of people being able to relate to me, whether it's through the music or whether it's through films, or now I'm starting to speak a little bit once in a while in regard to certain things. And so whatever it is, you know, I'm going for it. I refuse to accept anything less than all that life has to offer, or to give anything less than all that I can give to life. And